All right. Well, what did you all think of that intro? I absolutely love it. Our good friend Mike Newsom, he's been a good friend for a few years, and he's been a longtime listener of Trapping Radio. And he wrote that jingle for us, and he went into a studio and recorded it for us. So huge shout out to Mike for doing that for us. And so that'll be the intro from now going forward. So pretty cool. So yeah, welcome to Trapping Radio. I am here at the NTA, and I have a special guest with me, Ben from Sleepy Creek Tannery from Iowa. So I'm so excited that I finally got you to sit down drinking. Drinking coffee instead of
3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, instead of beer. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about his business and kind of his story with that, and so yeah. I guess we'll start with thank our sponsors first and get that out of the way, because we couldn't do it without them. We have F&T for harvesters, everything you need for hunting with hounds, predator calling, and trapping. And then we have F&T, or I'm sorry, not F&T, I said that already. Funky Trap Tags and Supplies with Alan, and they are out of Iowa as well. And I know you deal a lot with Alan.
Yeah, he's actually one of them that helped me push to be full-time.
Yeah.
They kind of the whole background behind it is I started trapping when I was about 14. Just really enjoyed it. I didn't come from a trapping background. I'm a Iowa guy. My dad's he's a farmer. He's trapped pocket gophers. He showed me how to trap those, and then from there it just kind of the bug got me. So when I got my license, nothing was really safe.
Your driver's license?
Yeah.
Right.
So once I started getting into that, I started to learn how to put up my own fur. Watched a lot of demos when I would come to these things. That's what I really like to do, is watch the put ups. So I learned how to put my fur up, and did that all through high school for myself, and then got paid to do it for my friends. So that was real nice. And then college hit. Well, what are you going to do the rest of your life? And so I went for conservation, and I was not, there's not a whole lot of that going on. Agriculture is Iowa, so did that for a couple years, and then of course couldn't find much of a job, so I went to, then there was a school in Montana, right when I graduated actually. I found a school in Montana, did that for 3 weeks, learned the art of tanning, and just kind of the basics. So then from there it just spread, got back to my hometown and started a business, and it was a lot of learning.
Yeah.
But from there I went to another tannery. After about a year, I went to another tannery in Ohio, and I kind of merged the schooling with how a tannery should actually function, and had a full-time job, of course. So did both for 5 or 6 years, and Alan, me and him were on the phone a lot, and he goes, just do it. You got enough, you can do it. I said, I don't know. And that spring, I didn't know how I was going to get through summer without quitting. So I let go of my full-time job, and now we employ 6 other people.
Sweet.
So yep.
But
it was not popular. When I started, it was right at the beginning of it was during that fur boom, 2011, 12, 13. Remember when the coons were, $30 average?
Yep.
And Iowa was a big raccoon state,
right.
So it wasn't all that popular, which was really good because it got my feet under me and my knowledge. And I was able to kind of figure some things out and grow. And now with the lower fur market, it's a very popular thing to tan your catch, or at least a majority of it. So, and figure out different marketings, or just enjoy it yourself. So, yeah, that's kind of that.
Yeah, Alan is really good at, he's a person, he'll do anything for you, and he believes, I mean, he just comes across that he believes,
he's a great guy.
He believed in you more than you believed in yourself.
Yeah.
And and even as I remember as your business was growing a little bit, and you were starting, because you just did an expansion there at the shop.
Yep.
And then you got some supplies in there. I remember seeing your old building. It was so teeny tiny.
Yeah. Well, it's the same building.
Yeah.
But we started with just a little bit bigger than a garage, and it was an old mechanic shop. And then needed a little bit of room, so I put on a lean-to on the one side to help with the skinning and fleshing. That's one thing that we offer that not a lot of places do, and I understand why, because it is a lot of extra. But I wanted to be there for not just the big guys that can put up all their fur. I wanted to be there for the little, the high schooler that shot his first coyote. And without that option, I don't know if we could have grown into what we are today. We still offer it, but
yeah, that is pretty cool.
The majority of what we do is put up, but we'd be happy to do that other stuff. But yeah, and then I ran into a storage issue, so then I put on a lean-to on the other side and thought, man, I really got her figured out now. I'm done. And that wasn't enough. And then, just last year we doubled the size of the building in the back. And now I'm ready to be done for a while. We've grown into it. We've got all the new equipment. We went out to North Carolina. There was a big tannery out there that went out of business. Older gentleman just decided to retire. His boys enjoyed what they did, but they actually didn't want to pursue that business any further. So I was one of the buyers on a lot of that equipment, and we were able to put that into production. Some really nice stuff. We got everything wired up, and we're on and at full steam now. So last summer was a summer of I won't forget that one, even though I want to. That was a lot.
So how did your capacity change from what it was to what it is now?
Well, we were actually we couldn't have done any more. Even if there was, we could have hired 10 more people, and no more work was going to get done. The equipment that we had, even on our days off, was still running full time. I would come in and swap out stuff, and we did that for about a year and a half. And in order to grow, and I could see there was a demand there. So how frustrating is that when you have good help, and you have you have good clients that want the product, but when you can't put it out the door, I was missing, so this equipment will ensure growth in the future. Now what's left, that's off my brain. So now what's left is, the more work we get in, now we can hire, and we will be able to hire quite a few more people in this line of work, which is great. So
how do you find people that want to?
We've been,
because you're like from this itty bitty, teeny tiny, itty bitty little tiny town in
600
Iowa.
people. Yep. Yeah. We've been very fortunate in that when we advertise it not as a job but as a career. And when you're a part of Sleepy Creek Tannery, you're a part of the family. So we just that's how I treat everybody. They can call me late at night, and I'm not just their boss, I'm their friend. So
you've had those calls before.
Yeah, I have. I've answered a few of them, but that's all right. So, but I work just as hard as they do, for me, I work for them too. So I'm just the one making the decisions at the end, but we all work for it. That's for sure, and everybody cares about their job, and that makes a huge difference. When you're just there to collect a paycheck versus what's good for the business, and what's good for the business is good for the employee, and not all employees look at it that way.
Yeah.
You know, some people think that the owner's out there to, you know, just
spend all the money.
Yeah, get all the money and whatever, but
yeah,
you know,
they don't see us up late at night wondering
and risking it
and praying that we're able to make payroll and take care of their families
week after week. I mean,
we have to.
Yep, I've got to provide for my family too, but I don't, and that's what I think helped with the growth for the first 5 or 6 years. Is I had a full-time job. I think I started at like $12 an hour, and I built that place because I just lived cheaply, and I was happy, but I did not, and then just kept dumping it all, you know, any penny that we made, just dump back in, and anything that I could scratch up, just dump that back in, and
I just did a interview with Bobby Collins last week, and he's an ADC trapper, and he was talking about, you know, making the leap from just doing what you love and he was from trapping and making that into a business, and how it grew slowly, and you have to put the right pieces in place to go full time. And like you said, you worked really hard doing both things until you could make it work and get it off to a solid foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's really important to put the hard work in.
Yeah, with any business, it starts at the beginning and making the right decisions, and somehow we just kept getting recommended, which is great.
Yeah.
But it was just wild. It just felt like we blew up.
Yeah.
You know, 12 years later, overnight success, right? But and I welcome anybody, you know, that wants to tan, or you know, it is a great business to be in, but it's challenging because it's really, I mean, if you look at the price sheet, you're making $20 at a time, and how much of that went into product and went into the building itself and all that, what's left, you know?
Yeah.
But if you do enough of those, there's enough left over at the end of the day. So,
For sure. So kind of what is the process if somebody has never I guess so you're a new trapper and you catch that first coyote, and then what? I mean,
this is where now that the animal is dead, now this is the time where we got to start taking care of it. So decide at that time, what do you want to do? And you do have a little bit of time, but you have to start thinking about skinning, fleshing, or is it going to go in the freezer? You know, is it muddy? Do we need to wash it, comb it, and dry it first? Because the better that we can get the product, the better the end result is.
Sure.
Cockleburrs and all that stuff. We do I don't even know how many hours a week we comb. But we're not going to get them all. Yeah. You know, so the cleaner that it comes in, the cleaner it can go out. And you really have to take care of your catch, because it's at that point you're on a clock. That
so what should they do? You said you know, it doesn't need washed and combed. Is that the standard?
I
typically
I wouldn't recommend washing unless it needs it, meaning, you know, it's muddy, bloody. You can spot wash or get a rag and get that blood out, or mud if it's just in the spot. But moisture is bacteria's friend. and that's where your spoilage
Sure.
comes from. So if you're going to get it wet, you have to get it dry. If you, from there, then decide, do you want to skin it, and do you want to flesh it and dry it? So if you don't want to, just get it in the freezer, give us a call. We'd be happy to walk you through the steps of shipping. Pretty simple. If you're going to send anything frozen, either on the carcass or skinned and fleshed, just send it on a Monday or Tuesday. So at the beginning of the week, use UPS, FedEx, or what we really like in the Midwest is Speedy.
Of course.
I never recommend shipping frozen through the post office. They're a little slower, and then since we have a post office in town, they don't deliver it to our doors, so it sits up at their facility. So it can happen, but I would like to see it just UPS, FedEx, or Speedy. Unless it's flesh and dried, then post office is fine. Think about insuring it if it's something of value to you.
Okay.
Think about insuring your box. And then installation is great key if you're going to be shipping frozen. I would never tell anybody to underpack, but in the January, February, March, it's cold in Iowa. It's probably cold other places. So those trucks going up and down the roads are cold. So you really don't have to over insulate, but I wouldn't tell you not to. But in the summer months we still receive frozen stuff in, but I would like to see less of it, because there is a risk in shipping in the summertime, and but we can deal with it. I mean, if that's when we get it in, that's when we get it in.
I was thinking of a question and I can't remember what I was thinking. But yeah, like you said, that's a great option for the new people that can't. You can take it from the beginning all the way to the end. I think that's what sets you apart from a lot of other places.
The other tanneries, absolutely, and that has definitely helped accelerate growth.
Yeah, for
sure. It does add a lot of stress and whatnot, because we don't know how long that coyote, say, has sat out. So when we thaw stuff out, we actually are very cautious about it. Like this time of year, we thaw everything out in a cooler, so that way it doesn't thaw out overnight in one shot.
Sure.
Because your window is from it being from it being thawed out to from it being spoiled, your window is so much shrunken, is a lot less than, say, in the wintertime, when you're thawing stuff out slower. So we thaw everything out in a cooler, and that's worked really good actually for us. But
so I'm just also thinking of a newer person. Is there a certain how soon or what is the window that from the animal that they put it in the freezer, or let's just say they've put it in the freezer and it's not fleshed or dry, how soon when should they send it to you? I mean, should they not keep it through the next year, or
I would recommend as soon as possible. I get it if you're out trapping and you want to, get a few more critters, maybe try to get into your next quantity discount. I completely understand that. But it's not getting any better in the freezer. It's not priming the fur in the freezer. So, that animal's already dead. So, as soon as possible when you're ready. I've done stuff. We've done stuff that's been in the freezer for 6 months and has been so freezer burnt that we can't handle it. We have to discard it. And we've had stuff brought to us and it's been in the freezer for 15 years and it looks just like the day that they put it in there. So it's just all on the packaging. If you are going to keep it for an extended amount of time in the freezer, I do recommend doing more than one layer of plastic. So just wrap it in a plastic bag or whatever. Some people use shrink wrap. That works fine. But get the air off of it, and it'll last in the freezer much longer.
So you don't want to let any of the any of the leather be showing. Cover that with fur,
Yes.
like in
Yep.
beaver.
Fur out.
Yeah, fur
is
out.
the best. So if you skin, if you skin a beaver, just go skin to skin a couple times, and that's great. If you skin a coyote and you case skin it, once you're done skinning it, grab it by the nose and pull that through and let the hair on the outside, because that hair will protect the inside of the leather. That's what we're trying to get away from. So, yep.
Cool. Well, I'm sure you get in some crazy things to tan. What are some of the crazier things you've got in, or what are the disasters?
Oh man.
Tell us some stories.
Some stories. Well, first off, boring is good. I always say, if somebody just brings me a regular old coyote, I am more than happy to tan that thing, because as soon as it's really cool, I've got to show all my friends, and now all of a sudden my time on that same piece is, and we're showing people, but the really cool things, we've done several pieces for zoos, not just in Iowa now, so that's really cool to see. We do a lot of snakes.
Really?
That's kind of fun. Just a rattlesnake. Somebody from Iowa goes down to Texas and goes down there to shoot pigs, and runs across a snake or something. So we do.
Nasty.
I actually skinned one 2 weeks ago. It was
oh
huge.
my gosh, I would have a panic attack if somebody sent me a box and I opened it up and there was one of those in there. I would have a panic attack.
Yeah, well, yep. It's the name of the game.
I remember my first coyote that I sent to you. I sent it, you probably remember this. I sent it with a batch of other coyotes, and I handed it off to you, and I was distraught because I didn't label that or mark that was my first coyote. And
did you figure it out?
I did. It was so bad looking.
Not
because the coyote, it was my first coyote, so it was the shittiest coyote that I could have ever caught. There was no real tail on that thing. It was ugly. Ugly.
And we do a lot of those, and you just look at it and go, why? But it's always got a reason behind it.
It's the
first, or it's the, there's always something. Maybe your kid was along with you, or maybe you wanted to get one done for the landowner, and the rest of them had value, so you gave them that one.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So, because they're probably just happy to have something back. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, you've got all my firsts so far. You've done all of them.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate the work.
Yeah, I got several more on my list. I would like to get Fisher and Martin and go up to Alaska and get some Alaskan fur. And, yep, we're starting to plan all of our out-of-state trips, just to, what we want to catch. Go down South Texas and catch a bunch of bobcats and things like that. Yeah, see,
that part of your job would be awesome.
Yeah,
I can definitely I can see myself doing that.
Yep.
So,
what did we give you today? I think we gave you
a whole bunch of otters.
Otter.
There was beaver, muskrat, and maybe a couple bobcats in there.
Oh yeah, our Louisiana cats. Yep.
So. Jeff wasn't too sure on the count, so we just wrote down the species, and I'll count it when I get home.
Imagine that, Jeff unorganized.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've had a lot of stuff dropped off today, or this weekend actually, which is really nice. When we get this far from home, I would love to save anybody in shipping. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you got us on Facebook, just follow that. And we're always, we don't go to a lot of shows, but we're happy to bring fur home.
Yep.
So absolutely, it's great savings on everybody's part. So, and we like to meet everybody too. We've met a lot of really cool people this weekend. So
yeah, there's been a lot of people through the gates here.
Yeah, this place is. I'm glad I came. That's for sure.
Yep.
Some of the lesser stuff. Do you want to hear that?
Yeah. Everything.
I can't really put a specific tie or anything, but let's see here. Oh, we can go back on the interesting ones. So we've done feral cats. And they actually have really nice leather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and while we're on the it was just, that was, when somebody brought me the first one, okay, what's up here? Well, I just kind of want to get everything that's, legal, and I think he was from Iowa. And then now that we've done the 100th, it's like, okay, they do just say, they got really nice leather. It's too bad it is a cat, because it would make a really nice garment. It's strong leather. It's similar to a bobcat.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Interesting.
And on the poorer side, it's just people not taking care of their stuff, and it sucks for us, because when I have to make those phone calls, that is not what I want to do.
Right.
It is much more productive in my day to call you and say, hey, it's done and it looks great, than give you that bad phone call. And it's the dreading part of the job, definitely.
Didn't you get something in from an African trip or something, and it was all bad? Can't remember if it was a zebra or something.
Oh, I did. That was for a Mizzou, and it was a giraffe.
Yeah.
Just the piece of the neck or something. But they have to take so many tests with that. I don't know how long it had been out of the freezer, but when I got it, it was still almost frozen. There was still crystals in the bag, and I took my finger and one swipe, and it just came off, just pure leather. So.
Yeah. So for somebody that is newer, how do they tell if? I know even when I was starting out, and they say, "Oh, the fur is slipping." What exactly? How does a newer person know that this fur is in not good shape?
What I tell all the guys in my shop is your nose will tell you everything that you need to know. If it's a foul smell, if you treat your hide like you would your meat. If you're gonna, harvest a deer, and you get that deer meat in the freezer because you're gonna eat it later. That's when the hide needs to go in the freezer. And if we'd have more of that, we'd have less, problems. But more than that, when you put it in the freezer, if you wrap it up tight, it takes a couple days for that center to get frozen. So, leaving it a little bit loose is actually all right. But, take care of the stuff. And so it'll start off, if you can't smell it, you might want to go and get your nose checked. But if you see you can't smell it, you'll see it. The very first sign will be it'll have loose hair. So if you run a comb through it or something, it might not be coming out in big clumps, but it'll be like shedding, basically.
Okay.
And then from there, you don't have much time, but from there it'll move more towards. And usually when it's at that point, there's probably somewhere on that animal that it is already slipping. So, but that's when, you can take your thumb and just basically wipe it in the skin, and it'll just all the fur will let loose.
Yeah.
Yep. Or you can pinch it and pull it out. Don't pull your hair too hard, because obviously if you pull the hair on your head too hard, it'll come out too. So, but it's just from being around it for a little bit, and once you handle a few pieces, it's really not too hard to do it the right way. But it takes a little bit of it. You got to educate yourself for sure.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I remember I got one of the ladies from the trapping camp. Very new trapper. I help with the Wisconsin women's trapping camp, and we teach them how to skin animals there, and then they go out. The class is in late August, so then the next season they go out and catch their very first animals or whatever, and we taught them how to skin and flesh and board, but it's rapid fire. We're in the classroom setting. It's like go. I remember when we were skinning, we had we skinned a beaver, showed him how to skin the beaver, and then we had just random animals at different tables thought out, and the instructors would go around to the tables, and you just got to pick what animal from there you wanted to skin. So there was some mink on the table, and you know, the women jumped right in, grab a knife, and they were skinning the mink exact same way that we skinned the beaver, and it was like, oh my goodness, you know, all kinds of things. But I remember she'd skinned a beaver, and she hung it up to dry, and she had fleshed it and then just hung it on a nail because she said it was wet and it needed to dry. And she says, well, now it won't move. It's like hard, and I want to get it tanned. I'm like, oh boy. I said, just call Ben.
Yeah.
Call Ben. He'll walk you through it.
Did we get it in?
I don't know what you told her from that phone call out.
I don't handle the phone a whole lot, but that phone call I might have had to, I don't remember it, but I'm on the phone quite a bit.
Yep, she sent me a picture of that.
Did we tan it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask her what the end result was, but
so she didn't stretch it.
No, she just hung it up, but it had she'd already fleshed everything off of it. Yep. And then it was.
Yep, it's got wow. But I mean, that's something silly.
I didn't want to break her heart.
Yeah,
I
remember I remember how green I was. I mean, I learned the fur handling side, you know, before the tannery. So, but I was just, I remember when I first started, and I was about like that. It sounds silly, but you really don't know.
I know, we all, and I think we put way more emphasis on how to trap the animal, and not as much in taking care of the fur and utilizing the fur. I mean, even I did the demo this weekend on the beaver, how to trap it, how to skin it, and then how to eat it. You know, we cooked it in the crock pot. And so many people just, you know, I just think that part is so overlooked, that we don't do the fur. And we're seeing more now. I mean, there's there's sewing classes here, and you can sew things. And
it's crucial for us as fur harvesters to utilize our own. I'm glad you brought that up, because using our own fur is a great way to help drive a market. And
absolutely,
there's a lot of people that will go out and trap and have fun doing it, and then I hear them complaining about the fur prices, but they don't have any product of their own, and they're not promoting it. So, what I always bring it back to is it'd be like being a vegan dairy farmer. I mean, what are you doing? You know, you gotta promote your own product, and the more we can use it here in the United States, the less we have to rely on Russia and China and other countries to use a product that we're trying to do. And it's a great. I mean, it's a great product. It's the warmest. I mean, I've got mittens, I've got a hat, I've got a blanket, whatever, and I've got, of course, wall decor too. And it's the warmest hat that I own. Yeah. I almost can't wear it unless
exactly.
You know, if it would be a great hat for ice fishing or something. If you're, I use it on the cold days. I mean, I don't have a cab on my tractor, and I live on an acreage, so on the cold days I'll throw that on. But if I'm going to get off and shovel, I've got to put a stocking cap on just because it's overdue or overkill. But I've got mittens that do the same job. I mean, just it's a great product to have, and you look good. You know, you really look good when you're wearing fur. Absolutely. So.
So have you seen an increase, I'm sure, with the tanning of the fur, where more people are getting into that, I think?
Yes, and we saw it this weekend, too.
Yeah.
It would be a great, if anybody wanted to get into business and was handy with a needle and a thread and had a little bit of background, it'd be a great business to have. And it might not take you 5 or 6 years like it did me to go full time. With a little bit of background, you probably could get it done pretty quick.
I mean, especially with online avenues. I mean, you can create an Etsy shop, and
I don't know one garment person right now that's not busy, that's not overwhelmed almost. that it's just like the tanning. Now the next step is this, and since we're using it, utilizing it, before the tanneries didn't. I mean, we got some work, but most of it got shipped overseas and got dressed.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I thought about starting a thing. It was this winter, and I had, in our Wisconsin women's class, we have a sewing night, and we learn how to sew. We made headbands and hats and things like that, just with by hand, and it was so much fun. And then we took some projects home, and then life got busy, and we have a group chat that we talk with all of us girls, and we check in. Did you all complete your sewing projects? And they were posting their yes, finally got it completed thing. But I thought it would be really cool to have just like go live or create an event called So What, like SEW and then what, and just like an hour or 2 hours a month to sit down and make time for yourself. Yeah. Whether it's sewing a fur garment, we're in like a Zoom meeting to help each other where everybody can see what everybody's working on, or if you like to scrapbook, or just make that time to do something fun.
Yep.
And devote that and create a friendship, because we had so much fun. I mean, we just sewing together created, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but the women, I mean, we just laughed at each other's mistakes, and our sewing got off, or we cut the wrong piece of the fur and it's lopsided, where we got underbelly and it's like there's a weird crease in the fur. But we had a lot of fun and created quite a connection over the sewing, and I thought that would be fun to have a So What session.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Yeah. Actually, I think you donated some furs to our Wisconsin women's thing, or you tanned the fur that was there.
Yeah, so. Or maybe just, I don't know, something. Yeah, could have. So. Yeah, if I didn't, I would have.
Well, you still can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
But you have fur for sale though in your shop though too, right?
Yep.
You can.
We have fur for sale in our shop. We also have it on our website. A small amount. If you don't see what you're looking for on there, then just call, and if we don't have it, I can look for it. But
somebody that maybe wants to make a blanket that's looking for a bunch of raccoon, that would be similar
absolutely.
Things like that.
Yep. We'd be happy to help out in any of those needs for sure. It's all about creating a market for a product.
Yeah.
Before it was the other way, it was fulfilling a market.
Sure.
And now by utilizing it, we will be creating a market again and fulfilling it. But yeah, right now it's just a little tougher. But
I think it'll get there. I think.
Yeah, I'm starting to see we've sold more garments in the last 2 years than I've probably sold in the first 10.
Yeah.
Part of that is because we're more in the public's eye, and we have a better product to present. But I think some of it is people are saying, screw it, I'm going to wear fur, and I don't care if you don't like it or not. And maybe that's the attitude we need to have.
Absolutely,
a little bit.
I agree.
Yep. So that's the way I see it anyways. But so yeah, we sell we sell some stuff, but I would rather put that stuff on the back burner and tan for you. That's what we do. That's the selling and things like that, and having stuff made, and it's nice to go and sell something, but it's better if I can show you what you could have if you went out and trapped, and then we get the tanning off of it, and somebody else, you just created a couple jobs there, and somebody else went and sewed it. So that's why we have it. It's less to sell and more to show people what they could do. and to show people what we do. I mean, we couldn't sit down with a pamphlet and say, hey, we run a tannery, send to us, if we didn't have anything there.
Sure,
So
yeah.
that's why we bring stuff
Kind
to
of
sell.
gotta touch it and feel it and,
Yeah,
and
yep.
see it. And yep.
Because not all tanneries are created equal. So I take great pride in what we do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But everybody's going to have a different product. There's not one recipe that we all know and we all do. Everybody's got their own twist and tweak on it, and some people cut corners, some people go above and beyond. And we're just trying to do a price point that is competitive, and what can we do within that price point. That's kind of how I see it. So
Sure.
yeah.
Well, $1 million question in tanning is, why does it take so long
Why does it take so long
to get your stuff
when
back?
it only takes a minute? Well, as we had to answer this question a lot today. So it's kind of like at the beginning of the season, when everybody's out there catching and hunting and doing their thing, we're the last thing on their mind. They're enjoying themselves. So we actually don't get the bulk of our work in until about March is when it starts. And we'll take in, I'm going to say, 8 or 7 months of work between March and June. Those are going to be our 3 or 4 big months. And then so if you were somebody that sent in February, I know we had a turnaround time of, I think it was maybe it was less than 2 months.
Wow.
It was like 7 weeks, I think, or 6 weeks, maybe at the best of the best. The whole process takes 3 to 4 weeks for us. We're actually looking into doing some new stuff that'll bring that down another week, which would be way cool. But for right now, it's about 3 or 4 weeks to run the fur. But so when we get it in, we don't just go and put it in the bath, because we got somebody else's that brought it before you. So it goes into storage, and if you bring it in, say in January or February, our storage is actually at its lowest that it'll ever be for the year, because we worked all summer long getting rid of this pile of fur that we got in those 3 or 4 months, March, April, May, and some of June. So once we get chipped away at that pile, then once that's when your turnaround time gets lesser. But then once end of February, early March hits, we start for lack of
snowballs.
For lack of a better, we just get dumped on.
Yeah.
So you just get just piles of stuff. You might take in a week's worth of work on Monday, and you're like, what's going to show up tomorrow? You know? So, but we need that inventory. I mean, if you averaged it out, we probably average like 3 months. But we receive so much work within, 3 months that by the end of the 3rd month, you might be 6 or I've even been 7 months out already. So, it's not for lack of trying. It's kind of the way it almost needs to be, unless we would steadily get work in every week exactly the same. January all the way through December.
Sure.
And that's just not the way it is. Yep. And the majority of people are dropping off in March, April, May. I mean, that's just, so if you were one of the end of May or early June, you dropped off at the peak. And we're happy to take it in.
Yeah.
In fact, we want to take it in, but it's, it's just going to take a little bit longer.
Yep.
So, I have some people ask, well, then should I just wait until your turnaround time is? And I go, well, if we get it in line now, I know it's 6 months, but in 6 months, we're still going to be 2 months. So now you just took 8 months.
Right.
So
I'd rather have my fur in your hands than, because it's summertime, we had to put our dried furs, even if you wait until you get them done and it starts warming up and you think, oh, well, they're stretched and dried, they can just hang on that, on the rack up there. And we had some muskrats in the lure shop still on boards that we kind of set aside, and they were nothing but dust. They got
this year.
Last year.
Bugs got to them.
Bugs got to them.
Yes.
Turned to dust.
So, and that's yeah. Oh, and that's terrible. That's something too. Even if it is fleshed and dried, your fur is still not safe unless it's in the freezer, in my hands, or you have it in. We use 7 Dust. Works really good. But yeah, you got those Dermestad beetles. They scare me. We go overboard on protection.
I'm sure.
Yeah, a number of years ago, it was actually the year that I went full time. I didn't even know about these bugs, and I had a lot different storage method back then. But yeah, I got bugs, and I got some damage. And when that happened, because I didn't own the fur, it wasn't my fur. And when that happened, I said, I don't care what it costs me. This will not be an issue going forward. So if we receive it with bugs, we do a 50%. We rush it, which is a 50% surcharge. That's not for our benefit. That is for 100% for you or for yours, and anybody else's that would have been in that container. So, but that's how we deal with it if we ever receive bugs. So we knowingly will never put bugs in storage. Not saying that a bug couldn't have laid an egg or something, but that's why we have the 7, and we even actually now went to we put some malathion in the bottom of our bins, and that aroma, or it travels through the fur, which is just an extra. We started doing that this year, not because we were having any problems, just in case. It scares me. It scares me. The boys know I'm like, if you ever empty a bin, and it's never been an issue since I've had full-time help, but I said, if you ever empty a bin and there's bugs in there, I want to know about it. Because we're gonna raise war on those things if they ever do come into my shop. So, but flesh and dried stuff, if you're gonna store it, in the freezer for sure. Absolutely. But,
well, I think we've covered quite a bit of the newbie questions. Anything else we missed as far as things to remember,
shipping,
things to know?
Storage. No, something simple. If you do send to us, we would bill you at the end, and that's when we'd rather. How we do it now to cut down on mailing. I don't know if you buy a lot of stamps, but we buy a lot of stamps, and to cut down, I mean, they're like 55 cents now. Come on.
Yeah.
And so, when the order finishes, we give that customer a call. We don't leave them a voicemail or anything, but if they don't answer, we just invoice them. If they do answer, they have the option of paying on the phone or over the phone at that time. So we can ship out same day, and it just cuts back so much on storing tanned fur, because when you have to store tanned fur and raw fur whatever, I mean, you need
it's nice to drop it off and not get the bill until it's ready to go.
Yep. And it keeps us motivated too, because that's how we're gonna
get
pay
paid.
The bills.
So, So how do they find your information? How do they get a hold of you?
We do have a website, sleepycreektannery.com, and there's a shipping document on there and stuff, and there's shipping instructions. I always tell people, if there's something that's not clear, or maybe something that we didn't cover, please call us or give us a call. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Your pricing is right out there on the website?
Pricing is on there, all that fun stuff. We got Facebook. I think we even have Instagram. I'm not sure. I know we have Instagram. But we have all that fun stuff. So,
and you have a little shop if you're in the...
we do have a little storefront. We actually carry your stuff, which I have to pick up more today. Don't let me forget.
No, I won't.
Okay. Just the basics. We carry some trapping equipment, some traps, baits and lures. Since we're seeing trappers once, if not twice a year, locals, actually, I think Alan's the closest, besides me, to trapping equipment of any quantity. So that's why I wanted to carry it. Somebody's there picking up or dropping off, and they just need to grab something quick, whether it be a skinning knife or maybe another dozen traps or something, or some baits. You know, we got all that, and let's see here. We do have some. We have, of course, fur, hanging fur, and some garments in there. So we just put that. I think this is our. That's been done for, I think, 2 years, and that's not huge improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much needed for sure.
All right. Well, sounds good. Thanks for making the time to sit down and talk
thanks
about
for having me.
all things tan fur.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, guys. We'll catch you next week.